play
Tir Na Nog.
Now, this game is a tableau building, card drafting kind of game. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell because board games are amazing, and that's what we do here at Legends of Nirvana. Now, Randy, can you tell us a little bit more about this game?
I can. So this is a GameFound Deluxe version, not a Kickstarter. It was on GameFound. But we picked it up at Origins. They had a release there. And it's a 2024 release. Board Game Geek rating is 7.7 and rank of 73.29. 1 to 5 player game, average length of 30 to 45 minutes, which is probably about right.
Yeah.
It's the age recommendation on this though is 13 up. I really don't think that's accurate.
Sarah's 10. She was fine, right? Did you have any issues?
It was easy, to be honest.
Yeah. 13's a bit much.
Yeah. More like 8.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you got to follow patterns to try to score. You're not going to be competitive. I don't think at 8, but 10, I think you were fine. As long as your child is good at math and picking up on patterns, I think it'll work. They'll do fine. There's definitely no content that requires an older child.
Yeah.
The design is by Isaac Shalev and Jason Slingerland. Art is by Marlies Behrens and Bridget Indelicato, and published by Grand Gamers Guild. And as you mentioned, it's a card drafting, it's a hand management, worker placement, and tableau building game. The Kickstarter Deluxe for this is a pretty good deal. It's actually $36 was what it was for the Deluxe version.
Oh, that's not bad.
The retail version, which may also be the same as the Deluxe, minus probably the promos and stuff that was Kickstarter or GameFound exclusives. The miniature market's got it coming at the cheapest for $27.99. It's still on pre-order, and Card House has it pre-ordered for $33.29.
Okay, all right. So let's talk about quality of components. So you do have this first player marker,
oversized, and all the pieces are screen printed.
Yes,
all the wooden bits.
Wooden screen printed bits. As well as your workers. Those are pretty...
Yeah.
They're all unique.
Different musical instruments.
Right. So...
The cards are all linen finished. They're really good quality cards.
Absolutely.
And even the oversized ones, they're all really nice.
For $36, I'm really happy with this.
Yeah, it's not a bad price for this at all.
No. I think you get a lot of quality, a lot of big bang for your buck. I'm really happy with this. For a card game, I'm probably going to give this an 8.5. I think it's great.
Yeah, it does come. The GameFound Deluxe does come with 2 small promo packs, like expansion packs, if you will, and then there's the solo components, which are just a few, like a card and maybe a few of these bit cards in here as well. I don't know, but yeah, there's not a lot more to it, but. Yeah, it is just a card game, and given the fact that it is a card game, everything in it is done exceptionally well. So I think 8.5 is a perfectly good score, and I don't know if you could get it to a 10 with just the cards game. I mean, this is not that many components to it.
But everything they've done here is they're so
yeah, it doesn't come with a play mat. This is my Versus Avengers mat with just grab one.
Yeah. Sarah, what do you think about the quality?
I'm gonna give it an 8.6.
Oh, you just gotta be higher than that's by 0.1.
Okay. All right. So moving to the actual theme. So
it's Gaelic. You don't see Gaelic that often, so
no, but it's definitely fun. The artwork's kind of interesting because it's not. I mean. I thought it was a very interesting art style.
It is. It's
intriguing.
It's got a kind of a feel like what you would see like in an epic saga, like in the books when they do like the Canterbury Tales and all that, the old style art, but it's very vibrant colors on the cards.
Well, I wouldn't call it vibrant. They have some strong colors, but there's kind of this. It's kind of gloomy. There's kind of a gloomy feel to the whole entire game, but it's not like deep gloom. It's just like a overlay of gloom.
The concept is you're basically creating a story with the cards, and you're it's a saga that goes over three different chapters, if you will, and you're supposed to basically combine all the different locales and the different things that you're doing in the cards. And I think it does that very well. So, I mean, it doesn't, there's no story to it per se, but I could see a story being written around where this is the art that goes through the story. Now, there is some redundancy with the cards, but in general, I mean, as long as you're not playing the same card, you're not going to see the same art.
Yeah, now, if you telling me that it's a story, I wish there was almost verbiage of what that
I think
card
it
was
leads
going
to your
on.
imagination. Create your imagination around it. You can create a story afterward.
So overall on theme, I'm going to give this a 7. I thought the art was very interesting. I think it played well. I don't think it's like truly
it's definitely not integrated into the gameplay because it's purely a pattern recognition,
tableau building,
trying to arrange your cards in a way that they're all going to score optimally. But yeah, as far as the art style, I mean, I think it is beautiful. I'm probably going to go ahead and give it an 8 because of the art. I think is done so well.
Okay.
Sarah, what do you think?
An 8.1.
Of course, I should have known that was coming.
All right, so moving to the actual rule book.
So the rule book is 10 pages long. It's got a cover that matches the cover of the box, about a 2/3 cover, and then below that's kind of the backstory, if you will, the saga, explaining how that, how you're journeying to the other world to gather these memories for your saga. And then you've got the component list, all pictured, which is what I like to see. The setup, super easy setup, and it varies from player count to player count, but they have an easy explanation, and then they have a pictorial for a 3-player game, so you can compare it if you have any trouble. Then you go into the how to play section, and it is very clear what you're supposed to do. There's a nice representation saying where it's legal to play and where it's not legal to play. And then you got the different phases, being the journey phase, saga phase, and cleanup. And then you go into the kind of the pictorial of the encounter cards, all the pieces of your saga, and what the layout of the card and what it does. Then a game end scoring, and then after that there's a couple pages of the solo rules, and then a card reference on the back. There's no cheat sheet cards. I think you mentioned at one point it would have been nice to have something that kind of stepped you through the phases, but honestly, once you played it once, you're going to know.
Yeah, it was fine. It was fine after I kind of you went through the phases.
So,
all right, so
I'll probably go ahead and give the rule book probably a 9 because I like it short, and it really there was no questions about it really. The cards, I think, were the only thing we occasionally had to consider for a second. Some of the rules on most of the cards don't have any rules on them, but the ones that do, a few of them we were like, okay, when does this apply? Does it apply over repeatedly, or does it apply when you play it? They do come out and say like whether it's basically a saga phase or ongoing. It's not that confusing, but there's a few questions that came up. But apart from that, it was an excellent rule book.
Okay, all right. So moving on to the actual gameplay. So you'll start out the game with cards in your hand, and 5, if I am not mistaken. Okay.
Yes, 5. You'll have an empty tableau. This is in game.
Yeah. So you'll have 5 cards. You're going to kind of look at them and kind of understand where you're kind of wanting to go with your hand. There is 3 different rows in your tableau that you'll be building, a max of 5 cards apiece, and each row has a different kind of thing that you're trying to follow. So the first thing that you're going to do then is to place your workers. So you've analyzed what your hand is, and you're going to try to figure out on this new tableau if there's any cards that you want. Now, the thing is you're going to place your worker in between 2 different cards. So there may be a spot where one card's great for you, but one card not so much. But then there might be another where there are 2, those are medium card, like both of those would be decent. So you may end up choosing based on that because there will be competition and you might not get the card that you want. So if I were to start out, and let's just say that I wanted a 4 because Randy wouldn't let me have any 4s during the whole entire game. I'm going to go here Okay, so then Randy's going to take his
and
turn.
since she said that, now I'm going to go up here where I can potentially get that 4 before her, because we're going to go clockwise around placing our pieces, but then when we withdraw the cards, we're going to go counterclockwise, so whoever's last, in this case Sarah, will get to take the first card.
All right, so Sarah, place yours. I am not going to get this 4. I'll try for this 4 up here.
Oh, there's another one up there.
I'm not going to get it, mind you, but...
Well, now Sarah can't compete for that one. And there's nothing special about the 4s, by the way. That's just purely because we like to pick on her.
All right, and then I will go here because these both have special stuff on them. All right. Oh, yeah, you got
The rest of us got work to play.
You guys aren't as important as me.
All right. So.
All right, so now Sarah will end up drafting one of the cards. Now, she will take her hand and this card, and she will decide which one to play at this point.
Because like I said, at the beginning you'll have a hand of 5, so
Right.
she would add that to her hand of 5 and then decide which one she wants to play. Your tableau is empty. You always have to play to the furthest left of your tableau in whichever row you decide to put it in.
All right, so once she has decided which card to play in her tableau and which row to place it in, she will do so at that point. Now, we will continue to remove workers and pick up cards. But what happens if you have a stranded worker, Randy?
So let's say I picked a different one. Miranda took this card, and then Sarah comes along and takes this one since she has her worker there. I no longer have got a card next to me. So at the end of the round, after all the other workers have been removed, I'm on a lost expedition, so I have to then choose one of the cards that's left out there to be my card. Now, there are special cards that sometimes let you draw one from the deck and then decide. There's different rules that let you break or bend some of the rules in the game, but yeah, in general, that's basically it. Now, after we've all played all of our pieces down, then we're going to do a cleanup. We're going to wipe the board, but we all have to discard one of the cards from the 5 that we started with. So the next round we'll only have 4. So the decisions get tougher as you go. I really like that mechanic.
Yeah. So at the end, that last round, you'll only have 2 in your hand as you choose to play each individual card. And then that's the end of the game. When you go through 5 rounds of that. Overall, I really liked it. It definitely has a lot of strategy to it for being a simple card game. And trying to manage, okay, where do you place, what cards to pick up, making sure, the one thing that we didn't mention is the different kinds of scoring mechanisms. So obviously there are the ones that are mentioned on the cards, but there's also the largest terrain type. So for example, I have 3 green that are touching, so it's at a strength of 3. So that is, but Randy has a strength of 5 on green, so he won majority, so he'd get 8 points at the end. I would only get 3 points at the end of the game. So just kind of being aware of that as you looked at other people's tableaus. Are you maintaining majority in a few of them, which can make the difference of winning or losing the game.
Yeah, and that's one thing that was missing from the rules is that if you have the first and second place, do you get 11 points? We couldn't find any reference online for that because it came up.
When did that happen?
It didn't, but when Caleb and I played the first time, when it was 2 of
players,
it's more likely to happen in those scenarios.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, so if that happens, what happens? Do you get both? Do you get just one? It didn't have any clarification in the scoring, which is kind of the most complex piece of this is the scoring. Because one of the things that we didn't really discuss is you have 3 scoring cards that have totally different rules about how that row works. So your starter set, which is there's 1 card for the top row, middle row, and bottom row that say first on them. The top row has basically you want to have any card in that row has to be distinct, and every card in that column has to be different than the card in that row.
Now, is this something that can change?
Yes.
These 3 cards?
There's a whole stack of cards that you
Okay.
can replace them with. Not to mention I just noticed in the add-ons, there's more cards.
Okay, so that's what I was curious about. That's why I didn't go into detail on these because they were like it changes from game to game, which gives this game a little more life to it as far as replayability goes.
I think it's got a lot of life in this game. The second row in the starter ones, basically you want the furthest, you want it to go downward, descending, a highest to lowest card, but you won't score the highest one on the far left because there's nothing to the left that's higher. And then the bottom row, it's for having the same values, so you get sets, and potentially one big set, which I think we all managed to pull off, getting all the same number, is worth the most, but you can break it up and have 2 sets and potentially score, that as well. So there's just lots of variety, but these are just the first game ones, and then there's tons of different options here that you can mix and match.
So Sarah, what did you think about the game overall?
I really liked it. This was it was like a fun, easy, but complex game.
Yeah, just gives you enough, little bit of strategy without being too hard.
Yeah.
Easy to learn.
Yeah.
What would you rate it as a score?
8.7.
Oh, see, now we can go 0.1 over her if we want.
Yeah, if we want. So I really enjoyed this game. I thought it was fun. Like I said, there is a little bit of strategy, but it was easy to learn, which I could appreciate. I'm probably going to give this a 7.5. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's pretty good.
I'm probably between you two, so I'm probably going to give it an 8. I thought it was a really solid game. And what was funny was, it's a very easy game to play, the mechanics of it, but whenever I would try to talk to you, you'd be like, stop talking to me, I'm trying to figure out how my scoring works and all that, because there's a lot of thinking about it when you're playing your cards.
She did do that. She did that several times.
Well, he was asking me questions, and I was trying to make my patterns work.
Especially when you consider some of the cards have, bonus numbers where you can alter the number or the color of them, and then you have to, because you have to play them in sequence left or right, it becomes more problematic to get things where you want them to be. So you have to think about, if I take this card.
I had 2 cards. If flipped, I probably would have won the game, or really gotten close to winning the game.
Yeah.
Because I would have taken 2 leads away from other people as well. And I was just so mad because I kept trying to find a card that would let me switch, because as soon as the turn after I played it, I got this other card, and I was like, crap, no, I needed this card there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was very frustrating on my end. Because I was like, no, it's too late, I already played the card.
When I played with Caleb, I had there's a card that basically, for every card that's to the left of it, it increments the number up from, I think it starts at 3, but I got it up to 9, or no, there's one that every time you played a 6 or higher, it incremented up, and I started with a 3, but I got it up to a 9. And then this one here is based on every card that's to the left of it. But then there's cards that let you move cards. But if you move, that drops the number. So you have to think about those things, because if you move the card, okay, oh crud, now my number that was a 9 that I was counting on is no longer a 9. If I put it in the first position where it's the highest, it's no longer the highest. And so you got to think about all those different scenarios that come up, and it's really a lot more to it than it really looks like. So I like anytime there's a easy to learn, easy to play game, but it's got a lot of complexity in the decision making. I like those kind of games.
But also for the middle one, the first number doesn't count.
Right. For this scenario, for this rule. So so you want ideally you want that first number as high as you can get it. So putting one of those 3s that increments up to a 9 is what I did the first game, and was able to get it to a 9, and then I could play 8, 7, 6, and so on. So I maxed out my middle row as for scoring, but the other rows I didn't do so well in. Whereas Caleb just totally dominated, and he was able to do it, arrange his colors, whereas I was focused solely on the numbers. So you have a lot to think about when you're playing this. So I like that.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We had an absolute blast, and hopefully you'll come hang out with us again. We'll catch you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.